You gotta help me. Something's happened to my family. Hey! Something's happened to my family!
Where is she?
I can take you to her and the rest of your family.
Hey, let me go! Get on through!
Did you set me up?
Who took Lori? Who did?
Give me 24 hours, or they're gonna kill the guys we took the briefcase from. They want it back.
The movie opens with a plane gracefully touching down in Spain, where Will Shaw eagerly disembarks, excited to finally embark on a long-awaited family vacation. His father, Martin, greets him with a warm embrace, and together they make their way to a waiting boat. Just as the moment feels perfect, Will receives a work call. Understanding his father's disdain for such interruptions, he politely requests a brief pause. Upon reaching their destination, he is welcomed by his mother Lori, younger brother Josh, and Josh's girlfriend Dara, all radiating joy and anticipation for a special dinner together. They share fond memories of their nomadic lifestyle due to Martin's career, and Lori expresses her happiness at having the family reunited. This leads to a heartfelt toast that sets the tone for their evening. As they enjoy a family outing at sea, laughter fills the air when Will shares a humorous story from his past. However, the mood shifts dramatically when he receives a distressing phone call that transforms his expression from joy to concern, casting a shadow over the family's happiness. He reluctantly reveals that his company has gone bankrupt, introducing uncertainty into their gathering. Seeking solitude by the shore, Will grapples with the weight of his situation. At dinner, he apologizes to his father for dampening the evening's spirit. In a poignant exchange, Martin reciprocates with an apology of his own, showing empathy for his son's struggles. The following day, tension mounts as Will becomes increasingly distracted by his incessantly ringing phone while out on the boat. His preoccupation leads to a perilous moment when Martin urgently calls for him to take the wheel. A speeding motorboat narrowly misses them. In a split-second decision, Will leaps to save Dara from potential harm. Amidst the chaos, Will's phone rings again, prompting Martin to angrily toss it overboard, igniting a fierce argument between them. In a moment of desperation, Will plunges into the sea, swimming towards shore in search of medical supplies and a sense of calm. He pauses at the water's edge to quench his thirst but remains uneasy as he observes the threatening motorboat passing by again, intensifying Martin's worries. Upon returning to the beach, Will is dismayed to discover that his family's yacht has vanished. Confused and anxious, he tries to seek help from locals, but the language barrier proves challenging. He ventures into the waves, hoping a group of nearby young people might assist him, yet their words are as unintelligible as the sounds of the ocean. Panic rises within him as he fears that his family may have abandoned him. As he walks along the coastline, relief washes over him when he finally spots the yacht drifting alone in the moonlight. Something is clearly wrong on board the yacht. In a state of desperation, Will rushes to the police station for assistance, but the officer's indifferent demeanor only heightens his anxiety. After finally managing to speak with the captain, Will's name unexpectedly raises alarms, prompting an urgent search for the missing yacht under the cover of night. Their investigation leads them to a mysterious stranger who claims to know Will, yet his offer of help feels unsettlingly dubious. When Will attempts to escape, the officers apprehend him, triggering a chaotic chase that culminates in a crash. Just when all hope seems lost, Will's father appears like a beacon of safety, rescuing him from further peril. Shaken but immensely grateful, Will's relief is short-lived when he learns a shocking truth. Martin is a CIA agent, and their family is in grave danger. Martin vows to reunite them and receives a secret message urging their immediate meeting. They make their way to a safe house where he meticulously plans their next steps. Upon arriving at the rendezvous with their team leader, Gene Carrick, Will and Martin remain oblivious to the sniper lurking in the shadows. Before heading off to speak with Carrick, Martin expresses his pride in Will and instructs him to stay in the car. As they discuss the dire situation, Martin reveals that the men who had taken the briefcase had also kidnapped their family, demanding its return within 24 hours. However, Carrick delivers devastating news: the briefcase is missing, leaving Martin scrambling for a solution. As he returns to the car, tragedy strikes: a sniper's bullet takes his life. Overwhelmed by shock and grief, Will crawls to his father, tears streaming down his face as he grapples with the reality of his loss. The ruthless sniper, Gorman, then sets his sights on Will, but in a moment of instinctive survival, Will seizes Martin's gun and Carrick's cell phone, narrowly escaping. In a frantic bid for safety, he encounters a police officer who aims at him, but Gorman intervenes, shooting the officer and igniting a violent shootout. Will races away, evading capture and seeking refuge in a park restroom to gather his thoughts. Disguising himself with a hat and sunglasses, he discards the gun and orchestrates his own arrest at the U.S. Embassy for protection. Inside the embassy, he recounts the tragic death of his father and the imminent danger facing his family, But the official remains skeptical of his story. Disheartened and feeling isolated, he leaves only to encounter Carrick again, who claims to be a friend of Martin''s. Despite his lingering doubts, Will reluctantly accepts her offer of help. As they drive away, she probes into Martin's connections to the briefcase, raising Will's suspicions even further. Feigning illness, he leaps from the car and disappears into the bustling streets. Boarding a bus that takes him away from the city, he clutches Martin's phone tightly as it continues to ring incessantly from an unknown caller. With a heart heavy with sorrow, he hears his mother's voice. Filled with longing to speak to Martin. Struggling to find the words, he gently breaks the news of his father's tragic passing, shattering her composure and sending her into a torrent of tears. Meanwhile, the relentless caller remains unmoved by their grief, fixated on recovering the briefcase. Resolute in his determination, Will seeks refuge with Diego, a trusted friend of his father. When he meets Diego's niece, Lucia, at his office, he remains guarded, sensing the tension in the air. Suddenly, Carrick's agents burst onto the scene, and Lucia springs into action, launching an unexpected counterattack that gives Will a chance to stand his ground against their adversaries. Amidst the chaos of the skirmish, Will's strength begins to wane, and he collapses from exhaustion. Lucia, still on high alert, points her gun at him, wary of any potential threat. In a rush of urgency, he explains their dire predicament and pleads for her assistance in locating Diego. After a moment of hesitation, Lucia reluctantly agrees, and together they make their way to Diego's apartment. Upon arrival, they find the door ajar, heightening Will's sense of foreboding. As they step inside, they are confronted by the grim reality of Diego's lifeless body. Will instinctively comforts Lucia, urging her to keep quiet to avoid escalating the already tense situation. Just then, a noise from the kitchen draws his attention, leading him to discover Carrick and Gorman waiting there. Consumed by anger and desperation, he demands answers about his father's death while holding them at gunpoint. Carrick reveals with chilling calmness that Martin's involvement with the briefcase ultimately sealed his fate. She offers to help Will find his family but insists on uncovering more about Martin's connections first. In a sudden turn of events, Lucia bursts into the room, igniting a fierce gunfight. Will and Lucia make a desperate escape to the rooftop, pursued relentlessly by Carrick and Gorman. Cornered and out of options, Will quickly devises a plan to lower Lucia to safety with a rope. But just as hope seems within reach, Gorman shoots him, sending him crashing to the ground in pain and injury. While Lucia races off to seek help, Will endures the agony alone, narrowly avoiding further danger. As they attempt to flee once more, Carrick catches up with them, resulting in a violent crash. Just as she prepares to pull the trigger, bystanders intervene, allowing Lucia and Will a fleeting chance to escape. They seek refuge in a nightclub where Lucia desperately appeals to a friend for medical assistance for Will. Initially hesitant, they ultimately agree to treat his wound. However, despite their efforts, the bleeding proves difficult to control, and Will eventually loses consciousness from the overwhelming pain. When he finally awakens, reality hits hard as he confirms Martin's death to Lucia. Shock washes over her as she discovers his picture on his phone, a stark reminder of their loss and the perilous journey still ahead. Lucia unveils a startling revelation. Martin, known to many as Tom in Spain, is not just her father, he is also Will's father, making them half-siblings. As they board a train heading toward the location for the briefcase exchange, Will grapples with the weight of this newfound truth about Martin's hidden life. Determined to confront the situation on his own terms, he resolves to proceed alone, while Lucia promises to lend her support from the nightclub. Upon arrival, a mysterious figure instructs Will to maintain a facade of normalcy and leads him to a waiting car. Anxious for answers regarding his family's fate, Will presses the man for information, only to provoke a violent response that leaves him unconscious. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself bound to a chair, enduring a barrage of punches. The man behind the assault introduces himself as Zahir, an Israeli Mossad agent entangled in a convoluted plot to expose a corrupt CIA operative, a traitor within their ranks. They soon uncover that Carrick has framed Martin and now possesses the briefcase, prompting them to enlist Will's help in luring her out. In a fleeting moment, Will glimpses his family before Zahir releases him, but not without a chilling reminder of the danger they face. Thrown from the car and armed with a gun, Will makes his way back to Lucia's club, where they strategize a plan to trap Carrick. Their scheme inadvertently attracts Gorman, Carrick's ruthless associate, leading to an intense confrontation. Despite Gorman's formidable skills, they manage to subdue him and subject him to rigorous interrogation, desperate for intel on the briefcase and the exchange. When Gorman remains tight-lipped, they reluctantly let him go, with Will determinedly following in his wake. This pursuit leads them to an underground parking lot, where Gorman attempts to sell the briefcase. Just as tensions escalate, Zahir's men surround them, and Carrick takes drastic action by eliminating the buyers, igniting a chaotic shootout. In the midst of this turmoil, Will engages Gorman in a fierce struggle over the briefcase. As their battle rages on, a Mossad agent intervenes, shooting Gorman just as Lucia's car collides with him in a violent crash. Seizing the moment, Carrick snatches the abandoned briefcase and makes her escape, prompting Will and Lucia to pursue her at high speed. Their relentless chase takes them through a park where Carrick tries to evade capture. Unyielding in his determination, Will spots her in traffic and causes a collision that halts her flight. In the ensuing chaos, he and Lucia commandeer another vehicle while Carrick continues her desperate pursuit. Their high-octane clash culminates in both cars flipping over in a dramatic showdown. With Carrick clutching the precious briefcase, she confronts them, but before she can act, Zahir and his agents arrive just in time to secure their safety. Zahir then leads Will to an emotional reunion with his family, whom he feared he had lost forever, filled with tears and heartfelt embraces that begin to mend their fractured bonds. They welcome Lucia into their fold with open arms, solidifying their newfound connection. However, their moment of peace is soon disrupted as Will contemplates an unexpected job offer from the CIA, leaving his future shrouded in uncertainty. Thank you for watching. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.